Alright, shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is Israel been Israel. I want to show a little history of how, that 400-year bondage that they try to say that we Hebrews was in Egypt is false history, and that's history created by the Jews. And they want you to think, them Babylonian scribes, they want you to think that the 400-year bondage has already passed. That's what they want us to think, that the 400-year bondage is already passed. We really can't say when the Creator gonna free us, but I know we Hebrews waking up fast, and it's a lot of Hebrews. It's a lot of Hebrew Israelites. Okay, Hebrews, I want to contribute this information to your knowledge that the Israelite Brotherhood been sharing with the Hebrews. Okay, it's a known fact that around about 1875, our father Jacob coming to Egypt, and then that's when they gonna start the count of how long we sojourned in Egypt. And you would have to start, around about that time, because, that's when us Israelites was there. But, from my understanding and research, that, it was some Hebrews there too. So it's going to be a difference between Hebrew Israelites and Hebrews, even though Jacob, Abraham, and all them were Hebrews, and they was connected to the people in the Sahara. Abraham, them roots, and gonna be the ones that left Egypt and kind of like, roamed around in the Hamite Empire in Mesopotamia. You know what I'm saying? We Hebrews, we kick it with the Hamites. And our father Abraham were connected to the Africans. You got Hebrews, the people in the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? And them were where the Hebrew was. And from my research, that's starting to show that this Hebrew land, the Sahara. Now, we are Hebrew Israelites, and the Creator gave us the promised land, and He gave us the land. You see what I'm saying? But, the people have roots, going into Africa, way before we was even a people. That's going to be like somewhat the Garden of Eden too. So, we're going to have some roots deep in Africa. And it's going to be from them, from the Hebrews that was in the Sahara. And some say that the MeshWesh tribes, that them was Hebrews. And I'm going to tell you something else. Just like how they covered our Hebrew Israelite history up with Jewish history, and how the world think that the Jews, the people that's in, our heritage today, the Sephardi and the Ashkenazi, thinking that they are the original Israelites. Well, for some tribes in Africa that was significant and real important, they covered their history up with groups that's kind of like related to them and come off them that branched off in Africa, like the Berbers. The Berbers, that's supposed to be a short word for barbarian, but the Berbers were people that originally got an Amorite stock that came from Turkey. Like, around about them parts, a Crete, and, men around them parts, the Aegean Sea, man. And then because they couldn't get into Egypt, that was like a death sentence, just sailing right on up into Egypt. You shall be taken prisoner, and you shall, what I'm saying, get tossed up. Them Egyptians wasn't playing that. So a lot of those folks sailed to the west of Egypt, what I'm saying, and then tried to sneak on around and come in. And then that's gonna be those Berber peoples, and they settled in Africa, and they try to cover up a lot of our history with them. If you want to know some Hebrew history and what the Hebrews did, look around where the Berbers history, because they cover our history up in Africa with Berber history. That's like, the Grammentians gonna be like a first derogatory name that they called us Hebrews, and they was from the Sahara, and them people built baby pyramids, and then they tried to ascribe the Berber people's culture to those Grammentians and try to say that they build the pyramids, but the Berber people ain't built no pyramids, don't know how to build no pyramids, but they done created them with building the pyramids. But the Berbers are still around today, untouched, and they try to say that they was the pyramid builders, but that's gonna be them Egyptians and Assyrians and Persians that got off into Africa during the Babylonian wars and settled in the Sahara, with which the Sahara kind of compassed the whole middle northern part of Africa. And when you get around about the Libyan part, around about the Chad part, is when what they call sub-Sahara, and in them Chadite groups, along with them other folks, the Angola groups, or the folks that we had conflict when we settled in the Sahara from the Babylonian wars going into Egypt, and then we settled in the Sahara, and them gonna be the groups, the Ethiopian Sudan, Ethiopian stock, them gonna be the people that we had conflict with. The Congo groups, you know what I'm saying? All of them, we had conflict with them when we settled in the Sahara during the Babylonian wars. And them wars would last all the way to the transatlantic slave trade. And them gonna be the people that they, us, that they marched off to the west coast of Africa. And I can show, I got maps showing that the Sephardi Jews, the Sephardi Jews and the other ones had trade routes throughout, Africa, as well as, other parts, the eastern parts of the world, but they most certainly had them in Africa. They most certainly had them in Africa, and this is going to be how they trade routes went. When you see that red line, that's how that trade route went around the coast. And then, the Nubian kingdom, the Jews, the Sephardi Jews, the Babylonian scribes, the Edomite Jews, the Sephardims, they been doing trade with the Nubians and, the Ptolemite and the Chadic peoples. You know what I'm saying? They did business with them. And then them Berber tribes, them gonna be they folks, them Amorite offstocks into Africa. You see what I'm saying? Them gonna be the Amorite offstocks into Africa. And you see how they trade routes crisscross all through the lands, fooling with them. And them gonna be the people that they accredit Hebrew culture with, to try to, it's like in the Sahara, they had the wheel, the chariots, we had Scythian chariots, things that we had to show that we had contact with other people. We had it in the Sahara. That's like we had a digging system of how to dig waters and get water that was from Persia and Assyria. That type of technology was found in the Sahara. That's because our ancestors who had conflict with the Assyrians, Babylonians, and all those folks, we took that knowledge into the Sahara, and they grow crops of cotton, wheat, everything. Everything was in the Sahara, and you can see also that the people in the Sahara worship Egyptian religion. We worship Egyptian religion. And I'm going to go start breaking their history down too. I had this site where I stored 7 years of history. They cut down the whole site. They took the whole site off, and I lost a whole bunch of history, but I still got a lot of more history. But I had a lot of history dealing with the inside of Africa, and I still got, quite a bit of it. Okay. That's like, the Bantu. They're going to say, oh, they Bantus. We ain't no Bantus. We Hebrew Israelites. All right, descendants from Abraham. And they were Hebrews, but they had roots in the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of like Hebrew land, but this is where the Jews, had trade routes throughout all Africa. All Africa, those Sephardims. I'm going to show them in all Europe, man. I'm talking about, man, they did the monkey shine up in Europe, man. They had trade everywhere. Every single place where you see them lands, that's where they had trade at. Those was Jewish trade routes for the merchants. The merchant trade routes. They went all over, man, all over the world trading. So how the Jews wasn't cursed and they wasn't up under no curses, because basically the whole Western civilization is founded by, them being merchants and bringing products from other places to other places. Okay. All right, Hebrews, this is what I want to highlight on, is that, we wasn't in bondage in Egypt for no 400 years. We wasn't in bondage in Egypt for no 400 years, and we was kind of like, in bondage in Egypt for maybe 200, of those years, and that we sojourned in Egypt that long, but we wasn't in bondage in Egypt for no 400 years, and it was a prophecy for the Israelites to be taken to Egypt, in ships and brung into bondage. And how about this is the place, this America is the place, and how I got in other videos about how they use all these American, African, Egyptian symbolism, and how the Masonic people go in and set the Egyptian system up, and how this is to Egypt because of the obelisk that we was enslaved with in Egypt is here. The Cleopatra needle that's in New York. I probably get an image of that in. And they got the image of Necho. He was a satire king. And he killed King Josiah and put us on the Egyptian religion that would cause us to go into Africa. For some reason, I think that back then, that them big empires and civilizations, when they was in decline and finna get their lights tore out, that they tried to trick us among them to for their survival, because they know that we are a creator blessed people, and that the creator have direct dealings with us, and you see that throughout punishment and what we going through today as a people. You see, and how, if they can keep us among them, then they survival is kind of like insured in a sense. I kind of think, that the nations and peoples thought that, about us, because, each nation, that's like Assyria. When Assyria was being destroyed by Babylon, when they was being destroyed by Babylon, the Assyrians came and got us, the northern tribes. I got videos explaining this. The northern fighters, the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, how they come snatch them. Okay, when the Persians, we know we was taken to Babylon, but it seemed like it was like at the end of they rule real fast, and they had us. And then, the Persians, they gonna be wanting some power and trying to get on too, where the Creator let them take the Babylonians down. The Persians had us in their empire, and it's shown throughout these empires that we built these nations up. We did the work, the hard, serious work. And that was one of the reasons why the Egyptians had us there too also, was to build a infrastructure up, because we made bricks. It's a lot of myths going around, a lot of myths. And another one of those myths is that we built the pyramids. I got a lot of history about the Egyptians, and our dealings with them in the videos, showing us how we shouldn't fool with the Egyptians. But I'm gonna try to focus this video on showing that we didn't do no 400 years bondage in Egypt, and especially when our father Abraham gonna bless Pharaoh. See, this is what the people don't understand. It's a difference and the Egyptian empire with its people. You know, that's like the people from Lower Egypt. The people from Lower Egypt would be considered, man, the top part of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Well, them people come from the Sahara. You know what I'm saying? What they call Libya. You know what I'm saying? And they kind of control the upper parts. You know what I'm saying? On the right side. You know what I'm saying? On the west side of the Nile. You know, and anything on the west side of the Nile, they called West Africa back in the days. You know what I'm saying? West. All right. And then you had that Nubian, Sudan, maybe a little Ethiopian stock mixed up in the ones from Upper Egypt, and they would control, you know, the other side, you know, the east side, you know, of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And they would fight, you know, to see who would control, and they would move their capital from the north to the south. But basically, the ones from the west side of the Nile, and that's going to be where all the pyramids built on the west side of the Nile, as you would see pyramids in the Sahara. Well, them gonna be the ones that controlled the Egypt and gave it its technology and was kind of like the ones that, you know, had the brain power. Whereas the ones from Upper Egypt, you know, kind of like what was the fighters, and you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I done showed in videos how the Nephilim stock got off into the Ethiopian mountains, and in them Ethiopians, and those are called the Ethiopian troglodytes. The Ethiopian troglodytes, they lived in caves. You know, that's like how we be saying, oh, the white folks lived in caves. The white folks lived in caves. No, you had some black folks living in caves too. You see what I'm saying? And that's gonna be that Ethiopian troglodyte stock, you know, that had Nephilim with them. And you'll have some Ethiopians today saying that they white and that they come from white folks and will identify, you know, with them folks, you know. And I could show you some history in the Bible that ain't favorable to them at all, and how that's another myth that's been created, is how, you know, they got the ark and all of those stuff, all them lies. And the Tanakh show you that, you know, that them lies that them folks none spread, and all it boils down is that they had, them Ethiopians had a Babylonian like heritage and stock also, you know, to them coming from Cush, and you know, and all them being a kindred, and then how did they gonna share a heritage with those Amorite Babylonian Jews who got our heritage. And then as you see, you know, they broke the Ethiopians off a little bit of our heritage, broke them off a little bit of our history, and try to put them on some shine. And then you see Hebrews now today thinking that, you know, that them people have some relations to the Israelites, and how that they supposed to be a part of us, and how, you know, that's like dealing with the Pharaohs. You know, some Hebrews think that them are Israelites, and that, you know, some Israelites escaped the curses and remained in, you know, in Africa and stuff. And that's a lie. You know, it's like that Ethiopian stock, you know, them Jews gonna come from Yemen. And Yemen is teeming. That's gonna be Eliphaz's son. Those are Edomites. You see what I'm saying? That's an Edomite held land right here. You see what I'm saying? And those Edomites converted to Judaism in 130 BC by John Heinecus. You know what I'm saying? Converting them, and also, you know, it was prophesied how Edom would get our heritage also. Well, you know, I had got history showing that those folks from Yemen, those Jews that didn't go into the curses and still walking around talking about that they some Hebrews, that, you know, that them folks are descendant from Edomite Jews, and how that they would settle, you know, in Ethiopia. And then, you know, you got some of them folks that done went on down the coast, and then they come settled in, you know, South Africa, the Limbas, and they are kindred to them, you know, and that they come off the Edomite Jews that had went into Africa to do trade, you know. And you know, it's a lot going on, Hebrews. It's a lot going on. And the Creator, you know, ain't, if he say be removed to Egypt by ship, you best believe that's what was going to happen. And that's what happened to us, you know, and it took like 250 years to remove all of us. Would say, we can even say a million a year being killed, but you know, they say that it was much more than that. So if you add up 250 years and a million men a year, that's 250 million snatched up and gone and stuff. And that's what happened to us, real Hebrews, you know, that suffered the curses and that fulfilled all the curses in the Tanakh and still going through them. You know, we still ain't had no freedom. Whereas these other folks, you know, that didn't go into captivity are being called by the people that we abandon our heritage to, and they are inviting them to our homeland. You know, that mess crazy. You know, it's real crazy, but you know, that's the creator, you know, that's the way he got it. You know, and it's supposed to be that when we come in to our heritage and these people know that we are the real Israelites, then you know that, you know, they're gonna have to stand down. They're gonna have to stand down. You know, it's like it's a whole lot of Hebrews, you know, got myths, and they be functioning on Jewish myths, and that's how a lot of these people get away with our heritage, because there's no direct challenging of the false history, you know. And that's what the Hebrew Israelite Brotherhood, that's what the Israelite Brotherhood is praying to give you some ammunition to do some research and to do some fighting, because you know, them people have to turn our heritage loose, and we can't stay in this state that our enemies created for us to be in. You know, it ain't gonna happen, you know, because that's not wrote in the Tanakh. Well, okay, our father Jacob come into Egypt, you know what I'm saying, around about 1875 BC, Jacob and family to Egypt, you know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the beginning of our stay there, you know, because we know that what Joseph brothers did to him and how it was the will of the creator. And that's kind of like really the the beginning of the Hebrew violence, is when, you know, we, you know, did that to Joseph, but it was by the will of the creator to save us later on. You know, some things happen that can't be explained, and sometimes it be by the will of the creator. You know, it be by the will of the creator. Okay, how about Joseph brothers and them sell him off, you know, to them Mendonites and them other folks, you know, and then he, you know, get took to Egypt. And then I'm gonna show you, Joseph's supposed to be the only Hebrew in Egypt, being a descendant from Jacob, if you would, you know, follow the traditional history that's taught. And that's like our history is taught by Christians too. So the Christians are the protectors of the Jews. You see what I'm saying? And it's like a racket game. You know, it's like a racket game that the Christians protect the Jews. You know, and the majority of the Christians who control Christianity and make it go in a direction that they want to go to are gonna be the Caucasians, the non-pigmented peoples. You know, it's like the black folks, the so-called black folks, the Hebrews, they got to be certified to participate in that arena, have to go through the schools that them folks set forth, and have to teach a certain way in order to be certified and recognized in that arena. You see what I'm saying? It's cold, but the Christians protect the Jews. You know what I'm saying? I even had a relative that I had tried to convince that the Jews today, the Sephardi and the Ashkenazi, are not the Israelites. And this relative went berserk and said, no, the Jews are the chosen people. And man, and I'm steady trying to explain to them how the Jews are not the chosen people, and how the Jews are not the Israelite of the Bible, and how that they was placed in our land during the during the Assyrian wars. You know, and that is only two set of Jews. You know what I'm saying? It's only two set of Jews. I might have to get off the subject of us in that 400 year for a second, but I'm gonna get right back with it. Okay, check this out. Those Jews right there, the Amorites, the Sephardims, they're Amorites because the Amorites are the founders of Babylon. The Amorites are the founders of Babylon. And Sephardim is the word for Sephardi. It'll translate right now. If you type it in, it's going to translate Sephardim, going to translate into Sephardi. The Sephardis are the Sephardics and Sephardims. Those are Kenites. Them are Jebusites. Those are the real Semitic people. Those are mean half and half mixed. Man, they mix with all the tribes. They can claim lineage to the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Amorites, the Jebusites. They can lay claim to all the enemies that we were supposed to drive out. You know what I'm saying? The Kenite tribes and those, related to the Kenite tribes. They can claim a heritage with all of them. But them people are scribes, and they wrote a lot of history. I'm talking about, man, a lot of history. Basically the whole Western history that you get, man, today come from them folks right there. Ashkenazi done got their little percentage in also too, but the history come from them folks right there, and them folks go all the way back to the Tower of Babel with recording history. Now that's deep right there. Now they almost invincible. And you can't touch them. You know what I'm saying? You can't touch them in the writing. You can't touch them with trying to create a government to extinguish them out. You can't do none of that. It's how big they is. And they control thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Whole mentalities and cultures with the mentality in it. They develop all that, and they slick and they kick back in the cut, and you just don't know nothing about them. But if you do some research on a Babylonian scribe and the scribes and what they did, then you might start to understand. Them folks is responsible for the dictionaries. They're responsible for all Babylon's gods' history. Now, just imagine that. That's something real serious. Okay, well, those folks was placed in our land in 722 BC. And when we ran into Africa to do the Egyptian Sahara religion, we abandoned our whole covenant to them and left books and everything. And our history been in their hands for like 2,700 years. That's a long time. And they done created a lot of myths. And one of those myths is that they tried, that's like how the Rothschilds know how to pull up and pull all their gold out of a system, before it collapsed. They've been riding this system for 400 years. And they milked it and controlled it, and like a puppet on a string. America being in their hands. And how about it's known that them folks done pulled their wealth out and trying to get it over in China in the east. And China and them gonna be some people that's like the Russians in China. They gonna be some people that didn't participate in a slave trade and that didn't have nothing to do with exporting the Hebrew slaves from the Sahara, you know what I'm saying, to their lands, or being over here as merchants to buy slaves, Hebrew slaves, and then take them to the Americas. Russia and China didn't have no parts of that. And you ain't never heard of no Chinese slave owner back in the slavery days, or no Russian slave owners in the slavery days. You see what I'm saying? And it's a known fact that them people done crippled this system that's holding us in bondage. And that how them nations is looking like set to bring this country down. And we pray Almighty Yah that we get some freedom. The best thing for them heathens to do is to set us up set us up in Africa so we can filter out and cleanse out. See what I'm saying? And then, we won't be so angry with them when this country falls. You see what I'm saying? They got bases in Liberia. You see what I'm saying? They need to let us get in Liberia. They need to let us get in Liberia since it's a colony of America, and let us clean up and get clean a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Before we get where we supposed to, or else the Creator just might destroy this country and bring us right on in. You see what I'm saying? So, that's, gonna take place. One way or the other, we're gonna be free. Okay, well, these folks, these Babylonian scribes, they got everybody in hostage, and they got everybody in bondage with the languages and the meanings that they create in the history and the everything, dealing with words and all that stuff they create. So everybody is in bondage to, they definitions of words and stuff. Well, it's going to be the people that's responsible for just about all the myths that's been created about Hebrew history. The Babylonian scribes, the people who we abandoned our heritage to. They was placed in Samaria in 722 BC by the kings of Assyria. They placed them there. And we will go into Africa to do the Egyptian religion and give everything to them. Okay, so let's go to to this here again. I'm gonna get back with this here again. How in 1875 BC, when Jacob came into Egypt, how we didn't go into bondage where we was oppressed and start having problems with the Egyptians, was when a new king come on, and that king is gonna be from Upper Egypt, Ethiopian, Nubian like stock that took over Upper Egypt and didn't recognize Joseph. You see what I'm saying? And then that's when our bondage started around about 1600 BC. That new king come on and he started to oppress us and stuff, and say that our numbers was getting deep and that they had to do something with us. And how about this? The king, the Pharaoh before this new king come on back in the days, he was cool with the Hebrews. And when Joseph was sold there, and then Joseph told him that his family was having troubles in the land of Canaan, this Pharaoh let Joseph bring his people to Egypt, and then gave us the best of the lands, which show you that we wasn't in bondage when we first come there. So that bondage had to come on at some point, and it came on in 1600 BC. That's like as I was saying at first, Joseph's supposed to have been the only Hebrew that was in Egypt if you go by the Jewish myths. But if you look at the Tanakh, you're going to see that, it says this. If you go to Genesis 43 and then you get down to 32, and it says, and they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did eat bread with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that it is an abomination unto the Egyptians. All right, so what Hebrews been in Egypt, in bondage and stuff, locked up, in they jails and stuff. Joseph was supposed to have been the only Hebrew, there, being that, he was, sold, and then, they took him and stuff, but then I guess the Mennonites and them other folks that was descending from Abraham, could have been hanging around Egypt too. But, okay, check this out, Hebrews. Let's get into showing that, that the Egyptians wasn't, when Joseph came into Egypt, how, the Egyptians wasn't our enemies, and how we wasn't in bondage, And then if you get here to 42, Alright, so Joseph say the Egyptians right there. Alright, Joseph's brothers come. Alright, yes, right here. 44. Alright. 25. Alright. And Joseph knew his brothers. I'm seeing Joseph was gonna go ask to get his daddy. And that's when, Pharaoh told him to go ahead, get him, man. Bring him on in. Alright, I'm saying if you get to 46, Genesis chapter 46, 31, and it says, and Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh, and say unto him, my brethren and my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan, are come unto me. And the men are shepherds, for their trade hath been to feed cattle, and they had brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. It's what would be the abomination to the Egyptians would be some sheep herders and some folks that had cattle. That was our money. But the Egyptians did trade and fabrics and boats and selling around, doing all kind of stuff. So livestock inside the city where they lived at and stuff was kind of looked down on. They ain't want no whole bunch of cattle running through the town. That's like in your town. If some farmers was to come into your town with a whole bunch of cattle, sheep, and goats coming through the town, you ain't gonna like that. You ain't gonna like that. So that was the abomination right there. When they say that the Israelites is an abomination, you know what I'm saying? It's because them Hebrews gonna be none came out the fields, came out the fields with them cattles and them sheeps. So that would be an abomination to the Egyptians, us bringing our livestock into the city. So that's why Joseph asked to put the livestock in Gershon, because it was like, suitable for the livestock and stuff. And that where we would remain with our stock and stuff, because that was your food, your everything. And we had plenty of it. All right. All right. So as you see, all right. And Joseph made ready his credit and went up to meet Israel his father to Gershon, and presented himself unto him, and he fell on his neck, and they wept. All right. Then when you get down to 47, it says, then Pharaoh came and told, then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Gershon. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said, moreover, Pharaoh, let me see. And they said, moreover, unto Pharaoh, for to sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Gershon. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thee father and brethren to dwell. Now, how is they going to be in some bondage dwelling in the best of the land? And dwell, and if thou knowest any man of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. Man, Pharaoh even said, man, make them rulers over my cattle. You know what I'm saying? So, we know we couldn't have been in bondage when we first pulled up. All right. All right. All right. And Joseph brought in his father and set him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. You see what I'm saying? You see that right there? So we couldn't have been in bondage. And this Pharaoh going to be kind of, you know what I'm saying, kind of cool a little bit. You know, he ain't just trying to dog us out and stuff. And he let Joseph rise up. But he was slick too, though, because after he done seen that Joseph done answered his dreams, he gonna do a little slick move, because he know our father Israel Jacob there, and he ain't gonna try nothing, because, you know, to be fooling with Jacob any kind of way gonna bring the creed of wrath down on you immediately. So, you know, Pharaoh gonna be slick and gonna give Joseph Asenath. You know, gave him Asenath. You see what I'm saying? Gave Joseph Asenath, the priest's daughter, after he done answered his dreams. So, you know, Pharaoh gonna be real cool, because he gonna know that the creator is involved with us Hebrews. So then when Jacob pull up later on, Pharaoh gonna be cool with him too, because he gonna know that the creator is dealing with us. You know, but Pharaoh gonna have been slick when he gave Joseph Asenath. You know, and Asenath was the priest of On daughter, and Ephraim did the Egyptian worship. All right, so you see that you know our father Jacob blessed Pharaoh. So, you know, we couldn't have been in no bondage. You know, then you see what I'm saying, and wasn't in no bondage. So when did our bondage started? When that new king come on, when that new Pharaoh come on, and that was in 1600 BC, when the new land from Upper Egypt come on and took over Lower Egypt, and they didn't recognize us, because if it was been any Pharaoh from the dynasty in Lower Egypt, they would have known us. All the Pharaoh's kids and own kids would have knew of us. So it would have took another king, another Pharaoh from somewhere else to come into power and not recognize us. And that's why those Egyptians exodus with us. When we exodus, that mixed multitude are gonna be them Egyptians, Joseph and them, kinfolks and them people dipping with us, because that Nubian stock had come into power and was flexing their muscles on us. You see what I'm saying? All right. All right. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, and Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Through in evil the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before him. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses. And Pharaoh had, you know what I'm saying, as Pharaoh had commanded him. You know, so that Ramesses might been connected to that Nubian stock that, you know, chased us out. And then, you know, we see that, you know, Joseph had his kids, and then our father Jacob blessed them. So, you know, we didn't come into bondage and start having no problems with the Egyptians until around about Moses' time. You know, and it's like when Moses was put inside when Prophet Moses was put inside the little water basket and sent down the Nile and stuff, down the Nile River, is because that's where everybody come to get some water. If you put a kid in the basket on the Nile, he almost for sure to be found some kind of way, because everybody came down to the Nile, to get some water and stuff. You know, everybody came to get some water down the Nile. So it was real smart to put Moses in the little floating basket and then push him on, because everybody, you know, if it's millions of people inside the Egyptian Empire, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, it's going to be thousands of people coming down to get water all the time. So, you know, Moses got found, you know, by the Egyptian woman, and, you know, she bring him in, and then, you know what I'm saying, and then, you know, that's when the flex start coming on. You know, they flexed on us. And, you know, that was around about, You know, when Moses fled, it was 1486 BC, you know, after he done seen what the Egyptians and how they flexing on us and trying to get us to do some labor. You know how folks try to get you to do some labor for free, and you know, this tribe, you know, we was kind of slow, they thought, because we raised cattle and sheep and goats and stuff, so they gonna take us to be country and real slow. And then they some city slickers. You see what I'm saying? So they gonna try to make us make bricks and, you know, dog us out and stuff. And you know, the Creator wasn't having that, because we was the Israelites, and you know, he had a mission for us that we didn't complete. And you know, so you know, them Egyptians gonna be some city slickers, and then they gonna try to take advantage of us Hebrews and try to make us make bricks and, you know, workers. And then they seen we was too deep after they did lock us down, and then they start the abortions, trying to the abortions and cut our numbers down so they can keep and maintain control of us. And that's when this obelisk was put up. You know, this obelisk they brung from over there and put in New York, and it's called the Cleopatra Needle. You know, that's the cover-up name. But that obelisk was put up when we went into slavery. You know what I'm saying? While we was in slavery in Egypt, and then they started the abortions and all that other stuff. And it's like when they brung it here after slavery, after they done brainwashed us and stuff, and they started to want to cut our numbers down with the abortion things, then they brung that obelisk over here, and that's what they've been doing ever since. You know, all right. So we know, you know, Pharaoh ordered to kill the firstborn. You know what I'm saying? Around about that time. All right. You know, Moses, you know, born, he raised up in there, and then Prophet Moses, you know what I'm saying, flees. You know what I'm saying? He flee. You know, I didn't already show how, you know, our father Jacob blessed Pharaoh, so we wasn't in bondage when we first got there, and that the bondage came on later on. See, the bondage came later on and stuff. All right, and then you see, you know, Moses flee Minute to Medine, stay 40 years, and then, you know, he come on back, you know, and deliver us like the Creator said, and all that happened in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? In 1 year's time, you know what I'm saying? We was grown and in slavery, and them folks tried to tighten up on us. Them Egyptians, that Nubian, Ethiopian stock from Upper Egypt, tried to tighten up on us, and then we was grown and miserable and doing real bad. You know, it's probably shorting us, charging us for everything, and just, you know, doing us real bad. You know what I'm saying? Put the abortions down on us. And then Prophet Moses sent in to deliver us 1446 BC. We would come up out of Egypt, and we would get the law in that same year, 1446 BC. So now if we add 1600 up to the 1446, when we come out of Egypt, when that new Pharaoh come on that start to oppress us, man, around about 1600 BC, you know what I'm saying, to the time that we exit is under 400 years, man. It's about 200, man, it's about 250 years, but not 400 years. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, them Jewish folks been popping game and been putting myths down on us. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I was showing it first, how them folks, them Amorites, them Amorites, those Sephardims, you know what I'm saying, or Babylonian scribes, been responsible for the whole Babylonian history. And getting our heritage was a nothing to start reconstructing a false history and stuff. You see what I'm saying? And if you go to 2 Kings, I almost turned right to it. Basically, I did. 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. Verse 24, you're going to see that name, Sephardim. You see that name, Sephardim, right there. All right, them Sephardims are the Sephardi Jews. and the Sephardi Jews are Babylonian scribes. And when we went into Africa in the book of Jeremiah, because we had did so much sin, and we went into Africa and abandoned our heritage to them. It's like, them folks was placed in 722 BC, and they would learn our heritage. If you go to Second Kings, Second Chronicles, chapter 30, verse 25. Verse 25, and you'll see this was during King Hezekiah time, and this is 7 years after they was placed in our land, and they came to the Passover dinner. So they was doing our heritage, and all the congregation of Judah with the priests and the Levites, and all the congregation that come out of Israel, and the strangers that come out of the land of Israel that dwelled in Judah rejoice. Well, those Babylonian scribes came back and got their land. They was Amorites, and we supposed to have took the land over from the Amorites. We were supposed to have took the land over from the Amorites, and we didn't. And some of them was placed in our land coming from somewhere else, because their empire extended from Egypt all the way to Mesopotamia, the Euphrates, and we were supposed to get rid of them Canaanite tribes, and we didn't. And then some serious ones, because we was playing with that Egyptian religion, some real serious ones was placed in our land. It's like, this is a punishment for y'all playing with this here. Since y'all playing with this here covenant, we're gonna put the big hold on you, the big choke. And that's what they did when they put them Babylonian scribes in our land, because it was a coup. And then after we was ran into Africa, and then them Babylonian scribes got our land, they started writing all kind of false history. Oh man, ASAP, they went and got busy writing false history. And that's the history that the Hebrews be pushing. And if you don't do some research, and then they slip up, because they give you dates and times, because they have to keep up with the date and time. They have to know when things happen in the past to kind of be on the lookout for prophecies in the future if they didn't come to pass. They know the book. That's why them folks pick the book up and read it day and night. And you see them walking around with it in their hand and everything. It's because they abandoned. That's because we abandoned our heritage to them, and then they like some crooks with a stolen heritage, and you don't know when the law finna come down on you. You don't know when the creator is the law finna come down on you. So they keep that book, and they be reading them prophecies, and they have to keep up with the time, because they know some of them prophecies done passed, and some of them set to come to pass. So it's best to know what time it is and when this happened and when it happened. Well, when they give you the dates and timeline for the Bible, and then we Hebrews go back and look, we can see that a lot of the stuff that they done told us is lies. Like the Hebrews being in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. We sojourned in Egypt that long. Sojourn is a difference from being in bondage that long. You see what I'm saying? Bondage is bondage. That's like somebody locked up in prison, been locked up 10 years, and then a person been on the streets, been free 10 years. You can't tell that person that's been free that he free if he in jail. You see what I'm saying? So, that's how them folks, get down and stuff. They mix stuff up and turn them around. But all this kind of go, what all that was said for was this, because it was a prophecy of the Hebrews being in a strange land for 400 years and bringing them into bondage. And this don't say nothing about Egypt. And the Creator knew that Abraham was going to go into Egypt, have some dealings with Egypt, because he was right in the area when he was told to go get, when he was told to go to Canaan, and that he would get the Canaanites' land. You see what I'm saying? Egypt is right there, and the Canaanites are off extension from the Egyptians. They kind of like in the same family group. It's just that the Canaanite kids Canaan gonna have a Ham kid. Canaan gonna have kids with Tazarite. That means that they was born with no pigmentation. You see what I'm saying? And then they gonna mix up with the Hittites. You know, the Amorite and the Hittite got together, and that's what produced Jerusalem. So, you know, and the Hittites ain't gonna be none but Cain descendants. You know, people listed in the Tanakh without a genealogy, but their names pop up. You know, them gonna be Cain descendants. But this is what them heathens is worried about, because they know that this 400-year prophecy has not came to pass. They know it has not came to pass, and they want you to think that it has came to pass. So when it do fall up on you, you won't know what's going on. You see what I'm saying? And it says, and that's what the Creator said to Abraham after destroying, fixing to destroy those Amorites, civilization, for finna knock them down and chase and spread them on out, Sodom and Gomorrah, and that the Amorites' iniquity was not full. Where the Amorites ain't nothing but the Sephardim, Sephardim. You know what I'm saying? But the Sephardi Jews are the Amorites today, and they are the Amorites that go all the way back to Babylon. You know what I'm saying? The building the Tower of Babel, and they created myths when we abandoned our heritage to them. All right. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Okay, it could have it couldn't been to Egypt, you know what I'm saying, in the past, because Egypt wasn't a strange land. And you know, we wasn't in bondage 400 years in Egypt, as I just showed. You know, them Hamites ain't held us, can't hold us in no bondage for no 400 years. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got that much power, you know what I'm saying? Even though the Egyptians had the power to steal your soul, and that's what they wanted to do, steal your soul. They'd rather steal your soul than to hold you in the bondage, a physical bondage. And then that's why come these devils chose the Egyptian system to put on us, because the Egyptian system steal your soul. You know, that's like I could show, you know, I got a video showing how we always wanted to run back to Egypt after going through what we went through, you know. And that's like, you know, the Creator said, you know, that we have eyes to see but can't see, ears to hear but can't hear. You know what I'm saying? And that's the state of mind that, you know, we Hebrews, you know, are in and stuff, you know, unless the Creator bless some of us to break through and break that off of us, and then we can show others, and then they show others. But we wasn't in bondage for 400 years in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't in bondage for 400 years in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't in bondage for 400 years in Egypt, meaning how that's a myth. And you know, man, how that's a myth that was created by the Babylonian scribes. You know, and like I said, we abandon our heritage to them, and they gonna create the lies. And those are the lies that, you know, we've been running around with. You know, you got Hebrews, you know, that's like one brother, you know, typed to me on YouTube. You know, I got the YouTube station. You know, of course, this is going on the Israelite Brotherhood. You know, subscribe also. How the brother tried to say that, you know, a verse in Genesis when our father Jacob was blessing the tribes, and how he said that, you know, Zebulun will be a haven for ships and so forth, you know. And I had to explain to that brother how Zebulun's inheritance was on the coast, where the Phoenicians was. So, you know, he gonna be a haven for ships, and how Sidon and Trias right there, them was shipping folks, merchants that deal with ships that shipped around the whole Mesopotamian area and stuff. And you know, Zebulun, you know, Lot fell over, you know, where they was, and Asher too, but Zebulun would basically control them, and you know, man, control their part and stuff, and they had, you know, trade, you know, coming in and out and stuff. It wasn't that they had some ships and that they sailed around. It's just that they controlled the land where the folks was. And I showed that how we didn't drive out the Canaanite tribes. You know, we didn't drive them folks out. And how that they would be there, you know, with their ships and stuff. But a brother done took that and said that we didn't escape from Assyrian times and then jumped on the ships some kind of way, and we all took off because Zebulun sailed ships and all kind of stuff. And I had, you know, explained that that's false history, and that a lot of the history that we Hebrews, some of the Hebrews be using be Jewish myths, not the Israelite Brotherhood, but the people, you know, that ain't really did no research, man. They be using Jewish myths to explain Hebrew Israelite history, and that's what them folks do. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna come from these folks, them Babylonian scribes. Them Babylonian scribes right there. You know, Jebusite, Amorite, and them the people that we abandoned our heritage to during the Babylonian wars. You have to read the book of Jeremiah. The book of Jeremiah go into detail. And when you get back to the back parts, you know, like I said, them Egyptians tricked us out of our heritage when Pharaoh gave Joseph Asenath. And Asenath had Manasseh and Ephraim. Well, Ephraim descendants did the golden calf. You know, Jeroboam brung that stuff out on us, them two golden calves, and put us on us. And then I could show also that the Pharaoh, during Jeroboam time, well, you know what I'm saying, that's a statue that brought up was that dude right there, and how Jeroboam was doing his will. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I said in the beginning of the video, how they try to take the Barber tribes, how they try to take the Barber tribes and cover up the Hebrew history that was in the Sahara, because the Berbers are an extension of the Amorites that made it with the African tribes and stuff. And how, you know, they would take and cover up our history inside Africa with Berber history. And that's what them Babylonian scribes did. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we be wondering, well, where is our history inside Africa? The Berber history that they try to ascribe to the Berbers gonna be Hebrew history the majority of the time. Like the building, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, we had dealings with the Greeks and the Romans. The Greeks come in and document us, and the Romans came in and tried to rough us up. And they didn't have no dealings try to rough up the Barbers, because the Barbers were kindred to them folks, you know, and they would try to ascribe our history in the Sahara to the Barbers. And those going to be, you know, the Hebrew history and stuff. And those are Babylonian scribes. And them going to be the same people that created the 10 lost tribe myth, the 400 year in bondage in Egypt myth. They're going to create that Hebrews ran into Africa in 70 AD myth. They're going to create a lot of myths. You know what I'm saying? We basically got to do Israelite history all over. You know, it's going to come a time when we got our own land and we got control of ourselves and our heritage, that we're going to have to reconstruct our history. And I pray that this be one of the bricks, that this be one of the bricks that's laid, one of the cornerstones that's laid with developing our new history. Because, you know, we dealing with some Babylonian scribes, and you can't believe nothing that they say. You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole bunch of Hebrews be swearing up and down that they know real history, and they don't know that they only, you know, pushing Jewish history. And when you push Jewish history, it tightens the bonds, it tightens our bondage. You know, it's like you working for the enemy and don't know it. You know, that's why come you have to learn to separate the difference between Jewish history and Hebrew Israelite history. Shalom. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. But like I said, we wasn't in no bondage. We wasn't in no bondage in Egypt for 400 years. And how that this nation and where we are at now can be considered Egypt, and how we've been in bondage here about 400 years. You see what I'm saying? And this is the Egypt that the Creator said that the Hebrews would be taken to in ships. Cause this is the only time we done been took somewhere in ships after breaking the covenant in the book of Jeremiah. You know, and that was one of the prophecies and stuff. And that's what they don't want, to be understood and stuff. But if you go to Genesis 28, here it is. And it says, and the Elohim shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way of I spake unto thee, and thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you, meaning nobody can bring no gold and say, here, free them and leave them alone and take this gold like we used to do in the past. When the invader or oppressor come, sometimes we can give them some gold and they'll back up off of us. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't no doing that after we broke the covenant, saying that we was only going to do Egyptian religion. And we did that in the book of Jeremiah. I'm going to see if I can cover this real quick. All right, Jeremiah 44. I'm going to be the last part. But this here, if you get to Jeremiah 43, you're going to see this here. This was the state of mind. This is after the Egyptians, this evil, wicked Egyptian right here. Where that image of that sucker? That sucker right there, the image of that sucker, Necho, killed King Josiah and put us on the Egyptian religion. Killed King Josiah and put us on the Egyptian religion, and we will go into Africa because the Babylonians, the Scythians, these folks came and chased us up off the land. Them people right there come chase us up off the land. And man, we had to get on down. Yeah, them people come chase us up off the land. Thought I had some more pictures with them folks. Yeah, them folks come chase us up off the land, chased us into Africa because we said that we was going to do the Egyptian religion. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We said we was going to do the Egyptian religion, so the Creator sent the worst of the worst. I mean, he sent the worst of the worst. I mean, he sent these folks. These folks right here. And he sent them to get us. The Scythians. When he sent them to get us. And they would chase us into Africa. And we never returned after running into Africa during the Babylonian wars. After this right here, we never returned. You know what I'm saying? All right, and it come to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking unto all the people and all the words of the Elohim their Yah, for which the Elohim their Yah had sent him to them, even all these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johanan the son of Ker, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, thou speakest falsely. The Elohim our Yah hath not sent thee to say, go not into Egypt to sojourn there. But Baruch the son of Ner setteth thee on edge against us, for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans, that they might put us to death and carry us away captives to Babylon. Well, them folks right there, it wasn't nothing but Ashkenaz. That wasn't, that wasn't nothing but Ashkenazi. That was Ashkenazi under the name Scythian. That was Ashkenazi under the name Scythian. Ashkenazi under the name Scythian chased us into the Africa, into our enslavement. And then later on, those Babylonian scribes, when they went across North Africa in 70 AD, because Ashkenazi destroyed her Edomite temple that was built in 20 BC by her, and that was destroyed in 70 AD. and that would chase them folks, them folks out of the promised land through the Romans, and then they will go to them Sephardims. Sephardic will go across North Africa, you know what I'm saying, across they folks, the barbers, territory, and then go into Spain and Portugal, and then they will double back on down here and get us in the Sahara along with the other folks. And that's what these trade routes on this map right here. Them the folks that had trade everywhere, all in Europe, Russia, and everywhere. Them gonna be the people that created the Babylonian myths, you know what I'm saying, the myths about our heritage, and that's them right there. You know what I'm saying? Some Hebrews be confused and call them the Moors when they was in Spain. Them the Moors, and they was us. Yeah, them was them Sephardims, you know what I'm saying? Them folks that was mixed with them Berbers and them other folks from North Africa that had a little pigmentation that went into Europe and took over. And this is all they trading routes. They developed the whole Western civilization trade routes. And that's them right there. That's some in North Africa right there. That's some in North Africa, I believe, in Timbuktu. You know what I'm saying? And then that's them. Them the folks that would create them myths, especially him right there. He a Babylonian scribe right there. That's their head boss. You know, he'll say a lie is okay to tell. It's okay to tell that lie, and then that lie go out into the world. You know what I'm saying? He the one that say, tell this lie, or tell the lie this way, and then that lie go out into the world. And then those, the little people that receive the lies, that start writing the books later on and constructing the false history and stuff. And then, like I say, those Christian folks, they created Christianity as a vanguard for them. Because Christianity protects them Jews. Them Jews got white skin. They done passed out a whole bunch of Bibles. You know what I'm saying? Got them Christians to make out a whole bunch of Bibles that say that the Jews are the chosen people and stuff. And then they defend that. You see what I'm saying? Because then they make them seem like that they connected to the Creator, when it's just the opposite. You see what I'm saying? You see the power of the beast. That's what they do. And that's what's been going on. This Israel being Israel for the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that this history make a little sense. But I had got into a debate, and then I had seen a sister post, man, about the where we in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. And as I've showed, we wasn't in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. We might have sojourned there, but it wasn't no bondage, all of it. The whole 400 years that them Egyptians didn't have the power to enslave Jacob or his sons when we first pulled up, and that only happened later on after we probably got too comfortable there. Okay, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.